Small decisions, big impact. What do I mean by that? You might think that, just like I did before, you might think that the path to success is by making a huge lifestyle change, changing everything about your life, your situation, everything, all at once, and deciding to change your life. You might think that's the path. The truth is, it's not the huge decisions that make up success. It's the thousands of tiny decisions you make every day guide you to the path that you want to go to. Those are the decisions that make the difference. And the first thing we have to do is be aware of those decisions we make. If we're not aware of the bad decisions we make, how can we correct ourselves? So in everything you do, try to be more aware of everything you do. Every decision you make and why you do it. Most likely if you play video games and you do it every day, you are so used to doing that. You're in the program and the habit of doing that so much, like I used to be, where I would just get up automatically, I'd turn my Xbox on and the TV on without thinking. Without even thinking, I would do that. And I would get home from school, go to my room, turn the Xbox on, the TV on, without even thinking. And I wouldn't step back and observe what I was doing or why I was doing it. I was just doing what my subconscious brain, well, it's what we call a habit, right? A habit is essentially something you do where you don't think much about it or you don't think at all about it. And the reason we do that is because our brains can only do so much at once. If we thought about every single decision we make, our brains would be too full. Our conscious thoughts would be so full and bombarded. So our brain goes on autopilot for almost everything we do. And then the rest of the time, that allows the other part of our brain to do creative thinking, intuitive thinking. It allows the other part of our brain to have consciousness, while this part of the brain, or the part of the brain that does, I'm not certain on which parts of the brain it does, but there's research on this. You can look it up if you want. But basically, most of our brain goes to our habits and subconsciously doing things without thinking. That way it allows our creative part of our brain, our thinking part of our brain, to do those intuitive processes. So when we're so hardwired, like I used to be with video games, with eating food that we know isn't healthy, eating food that we know isn't healthy for us, and from doing things that are actually going against our goals and aren't getting us closer to our goals. When we're doing those things, most of the time we're not even aware we're doing them. The next time you go to turn on your Xbox, the next time you go to look at your phone, to check a text message, to check a message you got on Instagram, or to scroll down TikTok Reels, the next time you do that, be aware of it. Be aware of the urge and how it feels. And think to yourself, why am I doing this? Is it actually getting me to where I want to go? So with everything that isn't serving you, it should be cut out. There should be no place for it. If it's not helping you towards where you want to go, why do you do it? So the reason you do it is because it's been hardwired, right? At the moment, you didn't know it was bad, and it entertains your brain. Whatever it is, maybe it entertains your brain, or it's giving you some sort of dopamine, which dopamine is what makes us want things. When you want something, when you want to do something, the dopamine receptors go off in your brain. They're the reason you desire that thing, right? So for example, Instagram Reels or TikTok, right? And you're scrolling, you get a hit of dopamine. Like, dang, that was a funny video. Next. Random. Funny video. Next. Okay. And essentially getting hit after hit of dopamine with those, right? So that's the reason you became addicted to those things, is because it's given you that sense of dopamine, that hit of dopamine every single time, consistently. And at the time you didn't know it was bad, but now you know it's probably affecting your mental health. So as I was saying before, becoming aware of those decisions we make is the most important part. Once we know something is bad for us, that's when we can change it. But if we don't even know it's bad for us, or we're not even aware that we're doing it, how can we change it? You can't change what you don't know. But once you become aware of it, you can change it. So the main thing we need to do, get rid of the things that aren't serving us, the habits that aren't serving us, the things that we're doing that aren't getting us closer to our goals. We need to get rid of those and replace them with things that are helping us, things that are serving us. And a good way also to do this is, for example, food. Everyone needs to eat food, but instead of eating highly processed foods that we know are bad for us, okay? Foods that you know are bad for you, instead of eating those things, we can replace them with things that are healthier. And you still get food that you like. You can still find food that you like that's healthier. I'm sure you like some healthy foods. So what we can do is replace those bad foods with something a little healthier today. It doesn't require a huge change, just consistently doing it. over a long enough time will get you there. So don't desire the overnight results in anything you do. Don't desire those. Those overnight results is what gets people to quit on their progress and their goals, because they think that they're going to change very rapidly, or at least see results rapidly. And for a long time, you're probably not going to see results. That's just me being honest. You're probably not going to see many results, but that consistency over a long enough period of time is when you start to see those results, is when you start to change as a person, when your mindset starts to change. It's not the huge things we do, it's the little habits we change. Something you do slightly better today than you did yesterday. And if you do that every day, just a little bit better. Maybe instead of playing 3 hours of games today, you do 2 hours, 2.5 hours for this week. Next week, the week after that, an hour and a half. The week after that, an hour. Do you see where I'm going? Eventually you'll get to 0. And you can replace those 2 hours with going to the gym. You can replace those 2 hours with doing something that's still helping you, that's still actually exciting for you, that's more exciting than the video games. And instead of hurting you, it's helping you. Little things you do every day. Deciding to read 10 pages of a book. Deciding to record a video. Deciding to make your bed in the morning. Deciding to take a cold shower. Deciding to go on a run. Deciding to go to the gym. Doing those things even when you don't feel like doing them. Even when you don't feel like doing them. Because sure, you get the motivation. Maybe from this video, you'll get the motivation to do it. But what about tomorrow? The day after? The week after? You're not going to feel like doing it. There's going to be a day where you don't feel like doing it. Last week, I didn't feel like recording videos, but I'm so grateful that I got up and I did. And one thing that can help you is think about your future self as a real person. Because a lot of times, most people don't even think about themselves in the future. Think about your future self as a person that you want to help, that you care about. Care deeply about your future self. Help him out. Help that person out as much as you can now. Because what you do now is going to shape what that person becomes. And then after that, it's like you get to that point and then you become grateful of your past self. So there's literally times I just sit there and I'm like, thank you, Justin, for going to the gym so consistently for the last 2 years. Thank you, Justin, for eating it so healthily. Thank you, Justin, for reading those books, even when you didn't feel like reading them. For journaling about your thoughts, even when you didn't feel like doing it. For doing those little habits. Thank you. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here where I'm at today. So think of yourself as a person in the future. Do all of this for your future self. And your future self will be so grateful for those decisions. If you've made the decisions that are serving you, your future self will be so grateful. So think of yourself as a person. Think of your future self as a person. And once you get to that point, you can look back and say, thank you for getting me this disciplined to where I'm at today. And then it's like a cycle. You think of yourself in the past, you do the right decisions in the moment. You think of yourself in the future, you do the right decisions in the moment. And once you get to that future point, you look at your moment decisions and you think, thank you for making the right decisions. I'm grateful that you did. I know it was hard and it was a lot of work, but you prevailed. You did the hard work when you didn't feel like it. And when you do this, your self-image gets so much better. You're so much more grateful for yourself and you feel fulfilled of all the things you did to get there. It's amazing. So there's times in my journal where I literally say thank you for the things that I did. I'm thanking myself. And I think that's something that would serve everybody if they did it. And of course, there's things I could do better. There's things where I look at it and I'm like, Justin, that decision you made back there, that's affecting me now. And you shouldn't have made that decision, but it's good now that you did because I learned from it. So you really got to separate yourself and look at yourself from a different perspective. Don't look at yourself. Look at yourself, separate yourself, and look at yourself as if someone else was looking at you. That's how. Sorry, I didn't explain it well, but that's what I do. So I try to see myself from a third person perspective, without any biases, without any internal thoughts. I try to look at myself as if someone completely new would look at me and observe myself, who I am, why, what I believe, and what I do. And when you can do that, separate yourself and say, that was a good decision you made, that was a bad decision you made, but I'm grateful for either of those things, because even if I've made bad decisions my entire life, now I can sit here, think about those decisions, and learn from them. That decision alone, the decision to make the decision to look at my past failures and learn from them versus not making that decision. If I decide to do that, I'm grateful for my past, because if it wasn't for my past, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for those bad decisions I made, I wouldn't have learned. And if it wasn't for all those good decisions I made, I wouldn't be who I am today. So be grateful for not only the good, but also for the bad. Be grateful for the bad things that you've done, because even though they weren't good, you've learned from them. And if you've decided to learn from those things, you're a lot less likely to make that decision again. So without bad, there is no good. Realize that. So be grateful for those things. Be grateful for the bad things that happen to you, because without those things, the good things wouldn't feel good. There would be no good things if there wasn't any bad things. So be grateful for those things. My name's Justin, and remember, you deserve the consequences of your actions.